On a clear day when the sky is blue and there's just enough breeze to blow the clouds away, you could probably hear the sounds of click engines passing by, and most likely it's either Mike or Rusty on the Olivedale line. The two engines work very, very carefully and safely together. And always two will blow their horn at each other. The trains are always on time and passengers never ever complain. This made Rusty a very happy engine. That night at the station, all the engines were talking about Rusty. "Amazing," said James. "Rusty," said Mike, "has resource and sagacity," said Gordon. "He is," continued Anthony, "an inspiration to us all." Unfortunately, Rusty was a little bit too much stock in his own hype. In other words, he was a little cocky with himself, and eventually developed a reputation of being difficult to work with. But not in a bad way, just he just feels that he's too good for the other engines now. He still delivers the passengers right on time and safely. But he's getting too cocky. James is right about me. I am sagacious. And Gordon says I'm amazing. Then one day Merida came and spoke to Rusty. "You're doing well," said Merida. "Now you must learn how to look after freight cars. Every wise engine knows you cannot trust freight cars, any shape or form, whether the color, the size, whatever it may be, whatever have you." Rusty came by with a long train and put the engines all in their place. "You think I can't manage? Everyone knows I'm good with cars." Gordon says I'm sagacious. "You may be a good gracious or whatever I called you. Oh wait, no, I said sagacity. But cars can be troublesome and..." "Say no more, Gordon. It's a pity, but the wee engine will just have to learn for himself." Rusty heard nothing. So he went to the yard. And then he went on the turntable and flipped and went back and went around. Loaded them, went away, and then came back to get them. This time the cars woke up from a long deep sleep. "What right is he to poke his funnel in here and boss us around? We want Mike or James or Gordon." "Look sharp," said Rusty. "That's not the way to speak," said the cars. "We'll get even." And they did. But Rusty didn't hear it. Rusty soon noticed that he was being pushed. "Hurrah, hurrah," said the cars. And banging their buffers, they pushed him down the hill. He couldn't stop. "Stop, stop," said Rusty, but the cars, with plenty of force, kept on going. Ahead was a turntable, and the disc has been taken out to be clean. And the switch was set to have Rusty turn that way by accident. Then finally, "I'm winning, they're slowing down," he said, but it was too late. Rusty lay bruised and bemused, bunkered down in the turntable well. Mike inspected. "Hello, Rusty. Are you being good gracious or whatever you call it? Beg pardon, but we don't really like this sort of surprise. BDK will miss their turntable while it's being mended." That shut Rusty up. But then later the engines now felt sorry for Rusty and hopes he'll be okay. "I'm sorry, ma'am," said Rusty. "I don't feel good gracious or whatever Gordon said. I just feel silly." "Well, Rusty," said Merida, "now you know the damage cars can do." "Yes, I do, ma'am. I look like a load of scrap iron. Oh, I don't think so, she said. But you do have to go to the works to be mended. And as stated before, the engines now felt sorry for Merida, Rusty. Gordon took him away. The branch line won't be the same without you, he said. Smooth. He won't stay. Yeah, upside down. How about that? The branch line won't be the same without you, said Gordon. But then a few days later, Rusty returned home, but had a very strong disinterest in freight cars at that point. But that's another story.